Yeah, I can do this if it gets to be. I
It's
just
okay.
go like that.
Yeah, I
It's
like
really
it.
good.
I dig it.
I dig it too.
Hey, Karen. You know what Karen was doing today, Sean?
She is canning yams.
No,
Oh,
she's cleaning out closets. But I don't understand how you have closets to clean out, Karen, because you haven't lived there very long.
um, hey, the back shots.
I'd like to
Oh,
know.
you're welcome. The back shot said, "Thank him for his service, your son and Sean." Thank you. Did you see
Thank
that?
you. Yeah, I did. What's the name?
The back shots.
Oh, cool. Thank you. Um, we just talked
Thank you for that.
yesterday trying to finalize plans or whatever. He was saying he doesn't know with his pass if it's going to start like the day we get there or the day after. I was like, we'll work it all out. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But it's got to suck if you've got to finish working and you know your whole family's in town.
I remember it though.
You're like, just get through the work day. Just
Like you
get
guys
through the
never
work
really
day.
had that. Like
Karen.
you guys really didn't have that. Like when you were in with your ex.
Oh well, he went to work and everything.
No, but I mean, like, how
Even when
often
my
did
family
your?
was there.
Yeah, I mean, I remember it.
Yeah, I mean, he never really took leave when my family was there. I don't know why. Maybe he did. I don't really remember. But, so it'll be fun. It's a long drive, but Sean reminded me that it's not really that much longer than when we went from Texas to North Carolina.
It was, it was the sergeant that was like, "That's gonna suck," and I'm like,
No,
"What?"
no, but how far was it from Texas to North Carolina when we went to
1500.
So pretty close, and we went
Yeah.
straight. Well, we went straight there back.
We humped though. Like the very
We
first
did.
night, we went all the way to Tuscaloosa, and
Got your stuff.
well, no, we went to like when we left North Carolina, we went all the way to Tuscaloosa the first night, like past Georgia into Alabama. That's where we stopped.
It was a long drive.
We did like 700 and 700 or whatever it was, 750 and 750. And that's kind of what we're going to have to do. I got this.
I know,
got
but you
this
got to
here.
let me drive a little bit.
Maybe.
Yeah. Let me see your phone so I can
Okay.
fix. You got it all set up?
It is.
No,
Look.
I mean, the main thing is Sean likes to drive because he kind of has one of those, like, if he's riding, like, passenger, no matter who it is.
I get a lot of anxiety when I'm not driving.
They can be, like, the best driver in the world.
But like if I'm in a bus or something, I don't have anxiety.
Thank you, Khaki.
Like if I'm sitting in the back seat or whatever, I don't.
Okay. She said I told everyone to come over. What live did I miss? Was there someone live in our thing and I didn't know?
Yeah, I mean, we're not.
No, but I mean, I'm just making sure, you know.
Is Paul alive?
I don't think so. Anyways, so we're going to get that done. We're going to do it in 2 days and then 2 days back. And when you think about that, that's 4 days of a vacation right there. So,
yeah, we're going to have like, it's like about 3 days.
Oh, of course she is. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I mean though. Like you get, I mean, yeah, that's why I was like, should we have flown? But then we won't have a car. We can't take Sawyer.
It's all right.
You can get a rental car, but.
And I know you a little bit. You love everybody to the moon and back. After about 3 days, you're kind of sort of like, eh.
I do miss my home.
Yeah.
I'm kind of crotchety like that. I like the way I do things, and I've trained Sean.
It was really about
He's
the third
housebroken
night.
now.
The third night. The first time you went to Texas without me, it was only like 2 days, and you were like, I want to go
I
home.
know, it's a little bit absurd how much we miss each other. Some people would be like, think it's ridiculous, but it's like 2 days.
There's really good contracting opportunities for me, but I just can't.
Hey, Anna Nicole.
I just don't. It's not worth not being with Mandi.
Right.
I mean, if I was going to be a contractor, you'd probably be closer to Texas if I was going to be going.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, without going, yeah, she got a lot of crap. That was a shitty ass series of things to say about Hispanics, and I just thought if we call each other on that bullshit, I mean, making fun of the language and like Mama Ricky said. So tell me, what does a Mexican's shit look like? Because you were saying it's horrible. So tell me what, you know, and
I mean, poop is kind of poop, isn't it?
Yeah, but it was just super, super bigoted.
And I remember like the when you were saying that she was talking about like the food was unappealing looking, right? Like,
and she said it looks like a Mexican took a shit on your plate.
really?
Why can't it just be someone? I mean, sorry, I'm from Texas. Myself and Karen have Hispanic relatives, and it wouldn't even matter anyway.
Well,
because right is right and wrong is wrong.
There's a lot of Hispanic people in Mandy's family.
It was just very, very disgusting, and I just thought, why does everybody else get called out on what they say, and she says this?
I do remember the first time we went to we ate in San Antonio the first time, remember, and we had that. It's like was it Tex-Mex or was it just? It was Tex-Mex, kind of.
Yeah, most of it there is Tex-Mex.
It was different. It was very, very good.
Oh my gosh, khaki.
And I mean, there's presentation, and that's in Texas. It doesn't look like if you go to like El Senorita or some of these places around here, and they show these they do show the pictures where it's like Burger King. They try to make the hamburger look perfect, and it's not.
I'm trying to follow where you're going with it. I don't.
The food in San Antonio, when they presented it didn't even like look any different than any other place that you would eat, but it was Mexican food. You know what I'm saying? It was good, and I remember looking at it and said, this could have been from like Cracker Barrel. It doesn't have to present like it's a certain type of cuisine, and it's still good. That's what I meant from San Antonio.
Okay. No. I mean, I think I followed it. You mean the way it's presented? There's not a certain way it's presented that makes it.
It doesn't have to.
Oh, I see.
It don't have to.
Sometimes
food is food.
Sometimes they'll put a serrano pepper on your plate.
But the thing is it just food is food.
Yeah, and it's exactly right. And Karen, she kept referring to Paula as Mexican or this Mexican food or whatever. Paula is not Mexican. She's Hispanic, but she's not Mexican. Well, so educate yourself before you sound like a bigot, because you sound like a bigot, but that's not that unusual.
Because Beast is Beast.
She's so ignorant. And the thing, that's like what I always say, like, Sean, I don't know how, like, look, Sean is a pretty intelligent dude. I know that the haters would say that he's not, but he is. And then I think about, no, but I'm thinking about like the conversations that we have and complex thinking. And I'm not saying that like, oh, we're complex thinkers, but just, when you, and then how shallow and superficial the conversation is there.
Yeah.
Like you're having a conversation like, yeah, but how do I look? And you're like,
well, you guys remember the analogy? I said it's like swimming. It's like swimming in a tub. It's awkward, shallow, and confining. That's what the conversation is.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
not very deep.
No,
you can't have some deep conversation.
You can't veer off from her very often,
or anything. Yeah, that's true. But even when there's times where. I guess does she still do the streams where she like does world peace and the women of the world
when
and
she's
stuff
a
like
certain
that.
Place in her cycle.
Yeah, she it's not deep. It's not even deep then. It's not deep.
Yeah, that's usually the part in the cycle when she wants women around the world to be equal, and then usually it's followed by a huge meltdown.
A huge meltdown and a plea for PayPal.
Yeah. So. He said, "Don't touch my ears, Dad."
He liked that.
Hey, Mama Ricky. I saw your share in your comment. That was pretty spot on. Yeah, I love my chickens. That seems to be a hot spot for people to criticize me. I love my chickens, and I do feed my chickens. I love my chickens.
So here's the thing: when we got together, it's not like when we were talking back and forth.
That
we had these in-depth conversations about chickens and stuff like that, and that I liked them. But as soon as I think we first touched on it when we lived in Texas, like this is what I would like to do and this and that. This gal right here like dove into it. Well, starting with
I didn't think I would like it. I didn't think they had as much personality as they do. I didn't.
And then we had a tough go at first, She was like, this chicken farming is not for us.
I was like, I don't want to do this
I know.
But anyways, that was like, all this talk makes me miss New Mexican. Yes, New Mexico food in New Mexico, again, is a different twist on it.
And that's what I was trying to explain. It was kind of, wasn't doing it well. When here's the thing. Mandy will say to me, I don't like spicy food, but spicy in Texas is different. It's different than spicy in Georgia.
Yeah, it is. And it's why it's so weird that now that I can not tolerate like most things, I know that it wasn't like that when I was growing up because there's nowhere you can go
Right.
that they don't put.
It's a little bit spicy. It's not like you can go into a place in San Antonio or in Austin, like a Mexican place, and say, I don't want, I want it to be no spices. They'd be like, well, that's how it is.
The other thing is people take that hot sauce that starts with a T. It's like a little thing of hot sauce called like.
Yeah, I know. Not Texas Pete.
They
That's the
take
cheap
it,
stuff.
Yeah, no, they take it with them. And like I can't think of the name
And
of
just
it.
put it on it.
Hey April, and spice it up more. If it's not spicy enough. My brother does that. Tacos are different in Dallas and yes, I prefer corn tortillas over flour tortillas. Same. When we go out, I always say when they're like, do you want, like if we do hard tacos or soft tacos, I'll say I want them soft, Tabasco, that's it. I want them soft and I want them with corn tortillas. And sometimes they'll go, oh, we don't have, and I'm like, you don't have corn tortillas? And then he's like, she's from Texas.
She's
legit.
You need to figure this out for her.
Your dad's so sweet too. When we would go at that there's a cat here, that when we went out to eat Mexican food, and I was like, this whole so here they call it Texas style. If it has beef,
I was about to say
shrimp and chicken.
Yes.
They call it. Do you see? There's like a little. Oh, got it. It's
in
my lip gloss.
They call it Texas rice. And it's not
whatever it is, the combination, when they say it's Texas style, this isn't more than just one. It means that it has chicken, beef, and shrimp. And I think it's because Texas has different, they have beef, they have the coast with the shrimp, and then they've got chicken. So anyway, in Texas, that term doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. And even here, like when you were getting...
That's it, April got the tapatio. Yes.
But when we were staying with mom and dad, and I was ordering Mexican food, and you said that you wanted a taco salad Texas style.
Because that's what it was listed as.
And that's what it was, yeah. And I think we kind of figured out, like, why is this called Texas rice? What's different than this other stuff? And it was, like you said, chicken,
carne asada is good.
And shrimp.
Yeah, and it's cool. Now I know what it is, so you know that if you get fajitas Texas style or taco salad, whatever it is, you know it's going to have all three of those things. It's just interesting because that's not called that in Texas, and I don't know what it's called. Maybe it could be called anything. I don't know. But it was when I ordered it, I was like, what is this Texas something? And your dad was like, you're from there.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, but this
but you don't
doesn't
have to
exist.
call it that. It's like what do they call, like Cincinnati style chili or something?
Yeah. Oh, like I love Cincinnati style chili.
It's different.
I really,
it's different
really
than,
do.
What's the other type of chili they have?
There's terra lingua. There's how many people
There's
here?
North Carolina chili, I think.
There is. Yeah. How many people here live in an area that has a Hard Times Cafe? If you're from Virginia or that area, you've probably been to one. No. It's Hard Times Cafe.
Oh.
And they make this chili that's over macaroni or over spaghetti noodles with cheese. The way that they mix it, you would think chili on spaghetti noodles disgusting, but it's really, really good. I used to go there after I'd go to Weight Watchers and get weighed in.
I'd go over there.
I'd go over there and be like, yeah, because I haven't eaten. So I see those Hard Times Cafe. So that's and they have they'll bring you out samples of 4 chili. And
4 different styles.
Yeah, and you try it or whatever, and that's based on, and there's one, it doesn't sound good, but it is, I promise it's good. There's one, I think that the Cincinnati has almost like a sweet taste to it. That was my favorite. Yeah, the terra lingua. You can order the spice mixes online from there. But I don't want to make it. I want to go sit down and have them give it to me.
I would think that once you, like if you put 4 different kinds of chilies in front of me and I ate one, that taste would be in my, like in my mouth, that it would kind of hinder the other ones. Kind of blend.
I'm not sure. I'm a sweet chili girl with a kick. Yeah, it's that I love chili. Yeah. I don't like it super spicy. I used to. Hey, Annalie.
The last couple times you did chili.
We're having a bunch of rain too. Lots of lightning. Be careful.
Yeah.
Be careful. What is it? Oh, when you were going to say something, were you going to say something about chili?
I was, but it is right about the weather too.
He's a little bit selective about his chili. I had no idea that he knew how to make it until like I was making it, and then the next time I was like, oh, I don't have a lot of time. He goes, I can make it. And I said, you know how to make chili? He goes, yeah.
I was like, oh god.
But how did you learn how to make it? You just looked up a recipe?
Yeah, I mean it's easy to make chili if you go buy like
Yes.
chili packet. You buy a chili packet. Like the last couple times you did chili, you didn't do that. You
No, I got
made it
that
kind of from scratch.
There's a spice by that Texas grill called Applewood something,
Yeah.
and I put that in it, and you really
good.
liked it.
It was really
yeah.
good. No, but I mean, chili is something that you can make.
Okay,
It's not the most expensive thing is like the kind of meat that you put in it. So, but you can get. It's easy to make, and if you don't really want to dabble with it too much, you buy the little chili packet and you just put it in there with everything when you're making it, and it's pretty easy to do. And then you can from there you can just kind of alter it here and there until you get the kind that you like.
Yeah, no, that I gotcha. Look at the title.
Oh my God.
Someone's on one. Sean doesn't have any Red Bull, so he's not on one now.
I'm trying.
Oh, it's that part in the cycle, the crying. Okay, I'm caught up. Okay, so
she's going to be much more popular than a lot of people right now because she's in that part of her cycle.
Hey, Moxie.
Just have to deal with that, you know?
Right, yeah. Not 10 hours ago, she said, remember when I used to be crazy in a train wreck and everybody, well, it was last night and my guess would be tonight too.
Yeah. I mean, I can't even remember I can't remember sometimes what I had for lunch, but I'm pretty sure that.
I was going to say, did I say it out loud? I was going to say one thing that I don't like, at least I've never had one, is chicken chili. And then she said, I make a white chicken chili.
It's good. It is good.
I'm open to try it. Yeah. I've never had one that I like particularly. But I would love if there was a good one.
And it is. It's a white
peach
sauce.
Red Bull. Very cool.
Who's got peach Red Bull?
No, April loves her she's trying to cry. Well, it's the Latuda, guys. Latuda, it's, no tears. Yeah. The Moxie picking up Sasha, and then I'm gonna watch y'all. Moxie, you made the title.
Yeah.
It's your night, Moxie.
Watch this. You know how you make a title? Here's somebody's title that you can make every time. This is how you do it.
Small pieces of.
This is all you have to do to make it into someone's title. You just go, "Owl, you suck." You're going to be in the title.
True that.
She's going to go, "Oh."
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. The thing that I want to figure out, hold on. Sean was looking for a Red Bull and he didn't have one, so he's like, "You're gonna have to
carry us."
No, we are just super chilled out tonight.
Yeah,
we wanted to do a stream like.
I mean, we've had a pretty wild 3 days, if you know what I mean. So, tonight it's just going to be not so wild. I'll probably leave her alone. I'll keep my hands off of her tonight.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
And because I got to get up about 3:30.
He does.
About 3. I have to get up at 3, and I'm normally off on Saturdays.
You're chilly, nice.
But I got to work early morning Saturday and Sunday, and I'm off Monday and Tuesday. So that's gonna be different for us.
It's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like it always kind of throws us off with a couple of when you have it off during the week, but by the it's bad because then we have the 2 days together and then you have to go back to work and it's like, aw.
I know.
But
I think because of someone's on vacation and that's why I think it's gonna be off Monday, Tuesday. I think I'll be off again Saturday.
Okay. Well, that's cool. Then that's going to work. There's who's last night? Who was in March Madness? Texas A&M. You said Texas, and I didn't know which. It was Texas A&M.
Texas A&M and Texas both played.
Did Texas A&M win?
No, they got beat by Penn State.
But they're not. Do they ever win?
Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Everybody that's in this tournament is a good team.
Oh, okay. I thought that they always won their football games. I didn't know their basketball team was good.
I listened to too many people that said Texas A&M. I knew Penn State was going to win that game, and I listened to people, and I picked Texas A&M. But the winner of that game, they play Texas tomorrow. So it's going to be Penn State versus Texas.
That's going to be good. That's going to be very
Yeah.
good. I told you.
I think Texas is they got a really good chance at winning this tournament. They do.
I told him to tell them he needs off for the whole week of my birthday. Have you ever known people who celebrate the whole month? I had a friend that used to call it birthday month, and she celebrated the whole month.
Mandy's birthday is tomorrow, y'all.
No.
It is.
Don't say that. But my point is like birthday month. And then today when we were talking about, we're having corned beef and cabbage. This is very Irish. And then they always couple it with a celebration for me and another family member who has birthdays close together.
Yeah.
So my point being,
Mandy's birthday's tomorrow.
no, stop. The partner of each of us are like, well, not so much you, but the other one, he likes his whole birthday celebrated all month long.
The younger one?
Yeah. No, your bro.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah. So that's like the second person I've known like that.
But that's also we were talking about.
Thank you, Nissa. I think
that's
we
a
should
Hispanic
take a whole
tradition, isn't it? Doesn't the husband like throw a party for his wife like all month? I know our neighbor does.
Maybe.
I'm not sure. He said when we met them. So this would have been, I guess it was.
Oh, that's cool. My best friend celebrates her birthday all month long. I love that.
So July, I believe, because that was 2 Julys ago we moved in here. And we went down and we met them. They're like across the street and down a few houses. And they party, man. They put the lights up and they get the megaphone going and they party it, and everybody on the street's pretty cool with it.
They have a fire pit, but they haven't been able to use it very much this winter because it literally rained all winter.
But we ended up going down there, and
Khaki said all month long her daughter celebrates.
We went down there, and they had just all kinds of food, and I asked him, I said, it's my wife's birthday, and I said, oh, well, happy birthday, and he goes, well, her birthday's actually in 3 days, but they started, it was like on a Tuesday, but they started that Friday.
Cool. It's a good reason to celebrate a whole month.
Yeah.
Yeah? You think so? Yeah. I wouldn't celebrate all month. But I think it's cool for people who do. Do y'all like what? We're having corned beef. Do y'all like, are any of you like Irish? Do you do like corned beef cabbage on New Year's? Have you always done that?
Not New Year's, St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah, St. Patrick's Day. Have y'all always done that?
I mean, you got to remember I was in the Army for however long, so I wasn't
when
around.
You were little.
Kind of.
Okay.
But I don't think we really. I mean, they really had to drive it home to me. Like, you're Irish, You're Irish, Wear green. I didn't wear green today.
I have a green shirt for you to wear tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because we have to wear green.
But I have a coworker that was really super stoked. He's from New York. He's from Long Island or Manhattan. Long Island. He's got the accent, a New York accent. And he was really, really super stoked to go home because his wife was making the corned beef and cabbage.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
I just am curious. I made a brisket today. I'm very cool. Bubbles and squeak for Thanksgiving. I've never heard of that. Is that Irish too? My Irish neighbor. Oh, okay. So that's an Irish thing too.
Bubbles and squeak. Bangers and mash, right? Bangers.
I don't know. What part of the congratulations, Rick Stein. My youngest daughter gave me my second grandson. I'm just so thrilled. Everyone is doing fine and can't wait to bring him home. That's very cool.
That is very cool.
Congratulations. Do you have a name? Is there a name yet? That is super cool. There's a lot of people who've had grandkids this month. A bunch. What happened 9 months ago?
Yeah.
Or did you know you're actually pregnant for like 10 months? It's 40 weeks.
So.
Oh, okay. Potatoes and cabbage is Bubbles and Squeak.
Potatoes and okay, Bubbles and Squeak. And so it's bangers and mash too. Isn't that like mashed potatoes and like sausage?
Yeah, but I think that's German.
You sure? I think that was Irish too.
I don't know.
I think bangers and mash is.
We'll educate ourselves on it.
Yeah.
And be.
We've already been told in a term we use, we had to educate
ourselves.
But like it might be.
But your grandparents were very Irish, right?
Part of my grandparents were Irish.
The paternal side.
Irish and Austrian.
Okay.
Yeah, but yeah.
I guess I was.
And Polish.
My hubby is English. Ooh, nice.
Like Koski, Polish, Austrian, and Irish. So
She said Christina is from Scotland and we eat burgers and mash all the time. What about, I've heard that too. Grandbabies are God's blessings for surviving so far. I've also heard like a German, it's called, it's like mashed potatoes with paprika in it.
I know, I didn't even know what bangers and mash was. And I went into this Irish pub and I ordered it and they brought, it's like a kind of a shepherd's pie, but mostly mashed potatoes. And then the bangers was just like a kielbasa sausage.
Oh, okay. And you like sauerkraut too, right?
I can tolerate it. I mean, if you give me the choice of like mashed potatoes or sauerkraut, I'll take the mashed potatoes.
Really?
Yeah, because sauerkraut's like cabbage, right?
I don't know what it is. To be honest, I don't even think I've ever tasted it. I think I've just seen it on like when they say sauerkraut and bratwurst or whatever, and I've seen it and it just doesn't look appetizing. Is it a pickled? I thought it was like a pickled something or other.
Like the horsey sauce that they put, like Arby's has that
Oh,
horsey
it
sauce.
tastes like that?
But it have that, it's like a cabbagey thing that tastes that way.
Ah.
Yeah.
Who knew?
Horseradish stuff or whatever.
Yeah, sauerkraut is fermented cabbage. Okay. See, we've got very intelligent people in our chat. That's all there is to it because we've learned a lot about things that we knew nothing about.
True.
Like really, we have like
yeah.
Sean is like half asleep.
No, but it's right. I'm trying not to be a smart ass about it because we've been educated, by people that don't like us and have solicited other people's opinions, and it's so
we've learned a lot. You're always learning. That's the thing that you have to remember, that you're always learning. I was cleaning the front room today. Is it considered the front room? I guess you would consider whatever. Anyways, like the one that we're not in a whole lot, but it's got furniture in there and stuff. And it was so funny because we have like gloves and stuff that we've been collecting that once I put them all together, there's like a ton of them. And then weed eater cable. And I'm like, oh, that's right. We have a weed eater and just miscellaneous odds and ends. And so it goes back that way to go to the yard sale.
So, sometimes when you guys get in the mail, like from like the VFW or maybe it's from some kind of religious group and they send you or whatever it is, and they put in there like maybe a calendar or they put a pot holder. They put all kinds of stuff in there. Well, this one group puts these little gloves in there, and they're just little cheap. I don't think they're cotton. They're like cheap yarn gloves. So what happens is we get a bunch of this stuff in, and we have to break it down and give it to all the carriers, and they have to, they pass it out. There's this. People pay for this service, but we normally get maybe 50 extra. They don't want them back. That's where all those gloves come from.
The ones with the little, they work good for the chicken coop.
So I use them to clean the chicken coop. So instead of throwing them into the recycle, instead of doing that, because they're just going to go to waste. They're perfectly good gloves. We're allowed to take them. So I take them and I bring them home, and that's why there's so many gloves. There are other things that you are forbidden from taking.
Yeah.
You remember when they send out the census and they put the dollars in there? Remember that?
No. Yeah, I mean, and then you fill it out and then they send you another $1 and you get up to $5, I think.
We get stacks of those. We're not.
Yeah. You just shred them or something, right?
We have to send those back because it's actually.
Well, yeah, I can understand that, but they take that back.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, if you get a thing in the mail from the census, it'll have $1 in it. If you fill it out and you mail it in, you obviously get to keep the $1. The next time they send you another survey, they'll send you $2, and then the next time they'll send you $5, and then that's it. But
so it's not like you can get rich off it.
No, but don't ever just throw it away because usually there's money in there.
Yeah.
You didn't know anything about that until the apartment. And I said, no, look. And you were like, wow. And I was like,
remember we were like,
and and I said, you fill it out and then they'll send you more.
I didn't. I thought it was some weird Texas thing, but it's actually the
It is.
census.
And not only that, but technically when you are selected to fill it out, you are supposed to, by law, figure it out.
Right.
And remember that guy showed up at our door?
Yes, right.
And he showed up.
And I was still kind of paranoid back then. Remember
Yeah,
that?
but I mean, did he show up after we had filled it out, or did he show up because we didn't fill it out?
I think he showed up after we filled it out.
It was interesting. He was asking just final questions, or I guess where they get the Nielsen ratings and stuff like that. And it was weird because they were asking all these questions like, have both of you been married before? And it's like, yeah.
But
don't tell my parents.
The thing is that, as we've discussed before,
14 grandkids.
What Mandi has said is, like, when we first got together, I was really paranoid because I used to have, like, people used to come to the house, you know, what we talk about doxing and this and that. Well, when I was in North Carolina, I'd have people knocking on my door all the time. So when I first met Mandi, you know, like for the first few months that we were in the apartment, and there'd be a knock on the door, and I'd be like going under the bed or whatever. I'd get really anxious.
I think it's just like,
yeah, and it was, but it was very telling, I think.
I had no, yeah, that was like a new thing for me, but like, yeah, I was like, I think it might be our food. One time it was our food, but it took you by surprise.
One time it was the constable.
Yeah, it was. I was like, oh, that was for some bullshit that we had to go. But we've already talked about that at
nauseum.
Yeah, but I was thinking of another word, like infinite.
Yeah, we've
No, but there's another word.
Yeah, there is another word.
Look, we're just like rambling or whatever.
It's okay.
Well, no, we knew we weren't going to do a super long one today, but I'm glad y'all are interested in our.
Well, that's because someone is cycling, and they're probably.
Well, that's probably true.
It's
more interesting than us. And Sean says,
us.
and thank God that it's not my problem. It hasn't been my problem
Right.
in 4 beautiful years.
Yeah.
Hey, Alex, no worries.
See, we've got like 35 people in the chat, but on the low, they're DMing each other and going, "Oh my God, now she's doing this, not this." So that's.
Or they're like that, and they're going, do they think anybody gives a shit about the census? And it's like, apparently 36 people do.
But I think
there he goes, at infinitum. See?
Okay.
Smart people. That's what I'm talking about. My grandbabies are my world. Love it when they call me. Aw, I miss my grandparents.
But yeah, I think that is the reason. I used to be like that, like, God. But then I realized that there's other people doing stuff. So sometimes it's us, our turn. Sometimes it's not.
And speaking of meth houses, my grandparents' house. They moved into it. It was brand new in 1964. And so, they passed away in 2007 and 2009. But before all that, obviously every holiday was there. My uncle, who's was a professional baseball player, he's taught people how to pitch in the backyard. It was just a house full of lots of love and memories. So when it got sold in 2009, when my grandfather passed away, it sold to someone who incidentally thought they saw my grandfather's ghost in there. I don't know the whole story.
Wow,
I don't know the whole story. My mom knows what they said. But so then after that, it got rented out. You know, when neighborhoods get older,
they change.
They either become cute, quaint little neighborhoods, or sometimes they become crime filled. And this one is pretty. All of the elderly people that had lived in this neighborhood for years and years, they've gone, and a lot of them have turned into rent houses, just the part of town that it's in. Well, apparently the most recent renter had a meth lab. So there's a video my uncle took, and it got sent to the family. It's completely destroyed. Wow. It's fenced off all the way around
with like posted and stuff, right? Like
yeah, and it was. There was an explosion, and they're gonna have to demolish it. And my grandfather was a firefighter, and a retired firefighter, and he was so proud of this house. It was 3 bedrooms. It wasn't huge, obviously. My grandmother survived breast cancer in the 60s, and just my uncle's baseball career. You know, things were celebrated there. So it's very sad. And he sent the video looking through the thing, and he was like, this was mom and daddy's house or whatever, and it kind of made its way around the family. What I want to do is get all of our pictures of us playing. Yes, Alex, that was actually a little video. It's crazy. But I want to get the pictures of like all of the holidays and things and turn it into like some sort of montage. But then at the end, when it turns out that's what it was, I was like, there could be some sort of more of a public message in that, I guess. That
I was able to see it. Like when we lived in Texas, there was I think twice. One time we just happened to be going through that part of town, so she turned, but then there was another time where you specifically took me past it. So I got to see it anyway before all this happened, and same deal. You go down the street. This is the house, and you can tell that it wasn't the same as it was in the 60s.
The porch swing is still on a frame in the front yard. Probably hasn't been sat in years. But so like there's still traces. Like my grandmother had a magnolia tree that she loved and flowers that grew around it. And she had, you know, if you see when I put this video together, you'll be able to see, they didn't have tons of money, but, they kept it very nice and very tidy and very, clean or whatever. And so you see remnants of the old house, you see like some flowers, you see some of the plants. And as a matter of fact, my grandfather passed away, and my grandmother passed away December of 2007, and my grandfather passed away in November of 2009 on Thanksgiving. But the Christmas lights were left up when my grandmother got sick and she was already sick, but went into hospice, and the Christmas lights are still on it.
From all those years.
Yeah, I mean, some pieces of it are missing, but you can still see sections of it that are still up.
I guess there's pieces, certain pieces
Just
of plastic
nobody ever took it down. You can see them.
Plastic lasts.
They did those big C9 bulbs, that used to be all of the Christmas lights or whatever, and there's still sections of it up or whatever. And it's crazy.
That's pretty sad.
It's very sad.
I took Mandi the first time she came here, but she didn't live here yet. I took her to the house that I kind of not really grew up in, but from the time I was like 12, and it's in Roswell, which is
it's nice,
and it's changed a lot too. I think what happens is Atlanta in the 80s, as Atlanta, got bigger, the inner city kind of moves outward, and then the suburbs push outwards, and then the city gets bigger, and so they have the bigger suburbs all the way around it. But where I grew up, I grew up in Roswell. It's Whitney Houston, Bobby, Whitney's daughter, died right there near where I grew up in that part of Roswell.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know it was.
That's in Roswell. Yeah.
I was gonna show the video of the house, and I tried to save it. Let's see.
What was Whitney Houston's daughter's name?
It's right here.
Hold on. Bobby
hold on.
Brown was Whitney's husband, but I think their daughter's name was Bobby as well. I think that was their kid. Yeah.
I didn't know it was in Atlanta. Hold on, let me do it. This is the house.
Sad right there, folks. Only my mom and dad would be just sick. 80-12 golf, folks. This is what it's come to.
Sorry, hold on.
Piece of property, believe it or not, folks, a lot of money. I know it doesn't look it, but it is, folks. Believe it or not, look what's happened to it. Mom crying. Mom, come here.
That's my aunt.
My mother and dad would be so upset. Wow. What a shame. What a damn shame. Lord have mercy.
So anyway, I know that was sad. That was my aunt crying. That was my uncle narrating. And it kind of went out to, Nelson was texting you. It kind of went out to the whole family at the same time. And that was my uncle, who was a baseball player, narrating. He's obviously older now, in his 80s, right? No. Oh, you're going to find our video again. I was like, no fantasy basketball league right now.
I'm trying to get back to the.
But yeah, so when the girl and the aunt was my mother's best friend in high school, and my uncle started dating her, and then they got married, and they were married. They're still married, but through his whole baseball career, they had 6 children together. So she's, very she was pretty emotional too for that very reason. Anyway, I didn't mean to make everybody depressed, but that goes to show you what goes on, what kind of world we're getting to. And it's kind of ironic that my grandfather was a firefighter. He didn't let any candles be burned. He'd seen too many fires started by candles, so my grandmother was never allowed to light candles. He was very careful with all that because he had seen so much. And then for a meth explosion to be what ended up happening to the house is just kind of very eerie.
Yeah,
it's eerie.
I remember the other day when we were pulling into the gas station. I have this thought a lot lately because I think about what Mandi and I have built together so far in the almost 4 years we've been together. The 4 years has flown by.
It's gone really fast.
It's gone really, really fast. And now I'm going to be 54 in October. And sometimes I get not really a panic attack, but I feel some kind of way about that. And I said to Mandi, remember we were pulling in the store and I said, why couldn't we be the same age and we met 30 years ago or something like that?
Yeah.
Because it seems like, because we have our lifetime, the rest of our lives together, but a lifetime is not the same. Every once in a while when you think, I'm in my 50s, I'm like, I have more years behind me than in front of me, and it's really not rational. Like Mandi's always said, a lot of our anxiety that we have isn't rational thought, but it's natural. And I'm like, I have maybe, if I stay healthy and watch my health, I have 30 good ones. 30 good ones left.
Absolutely.
Into my 80s, if I'm 80. I've had 50 good, years to
Thank you, Mom.
Anyway, and that house is a perfect example of
Yeah.
how then
That's true.
to now.
You would have been able to see it and watched it. It's a lot of love in that house. And it, like when my grandmother she had cobalt radiation in the 60s. She had breast cancer. And in fact, I think it was stage 3 or 4. It was bad. And that all they knew how to do then was cobalt radiation. And it saved her.
Horrible,
it saved her, but in the end, it destroys, she would have wounds that wouldn't heal. She'd have to do hyperbaric. But it gave us another, 60 years, or, whatever it was with her. But when since my uncle was a baseball player and he had, some funds while she was in the thing getting one of her treatments and trying to survive, he redid the whole house, had it painted and it used to have white, I think it used to have wood paneling, and he went and stained it all dark brown and she didn't like it. But she said she did because she didn't want to make them.
Right, Moxie? She says, I think of Mandi as being in her 30s.
I know.
She looks so young.
Annalie, I will be 44 tomorrow.
She'll be 29.
I kept saying I was 45, and I was like, Sean, you should have corrected me. I'll be 44.
Because when whatever her birthday is in March, I'll be the same. I'll be 54.
Right.
I was born in 69. She was born in 70.
That's 10 years.
That's it.
I think that's sexy. Really do.
How flattering is that? Like I said, I was watching her vlog the other day when she was talking about,
Thank you.
Some of our detractors, he's an old man, and that Mandi you're just feeding the fire because Mandi loves her old man.
I'm like, keep saying it, girl. Keep saying it.
I'm never worried about anyone younger than me. Never,
When we started talking, though, because you didn't know, and you were like, how old are you? When we started, I was like, I'm 40. At that time, I was 40. He goes, oh, okay. I thought you looked younger than that. I said, no, I'm 40. And he was like, I'm 50. I said, I know. And I was like, that's totally okay.
Then, of course,
it's better than
more
okay.
Than okay, yes.
Yeah, it's better than okay.
And at first, it's like, a girl, what do we have in common? Because that's what it is. It's like when I have these older, guys my age, and we sit around the water cooler talk, and they start talking about younger women. I don't get into that because I have kids, that are in their
Yeah.
20s, so I'm not ever been that interested. So even somebody that's 10 years younger than me, you have to have some living before you have things that are in common,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
That's probably true.
In my opinion, and there's a lot of people that 30-year-old that meets a 20-year-old, and they
Yeah, it's flirty.
they fall in love or whatever. That wouldn't be me. I've got to have stuff in common, and Mandy and I do, and it's really odd to me that she's not odd in a literal way, but that she has the same. We have so much in common with that much apart.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm her brother and sister's age, and they're 10 years older.
Specifically, my sister's age. Yeah. Yeah. It's like they talk about music and all kinds of stuff and I know a lot of it, like if we're listening to like the radio or the satellite and it's Hair Nation, they'll play a song and I literally know the words, but it's because
It's because of her sister.
My sister, I would be riding with her, and she'd have it playing, and that's how some songs they even, because I was younger, they would teach me so that I would say it in school, like that dirty deeds and they're done dirt cheap. I would go to like
AC/DC,
school in
right.
second grade, and I'd be like, dirty deeds and they're done dirt cheap, and they were like,
didn't they make?
And my parents were like, stop telling her to go say that stuff.
What was the one thing that they made you say?
Welcome to my nightmare.
Oh, I'm not a crook. They make you.
Yeah,
say
they
that
used
too.
to make you do the whole. I am not a crook. They were like, when you get in trouble at school, you go like this. I am not a crook, and I did
That's
it.
Nixon.
And then I was like, yeah, and I was like, waiting for I had no clue what it was. It was crazy, but yeah.
When we talk about the times when we almost crossed paths, I mean, because she's like so connected to me. We're so codependent on each other, mostly in a very healthy way.
Yeah.
But we almost, like we said, we've told you guys before, we were at Fort Riley together with our other families, families that we had our kids with in the late 90s. You know, and she was a 20-year-old with 2 babies, and I was a 30-year-old lieutenant and my youngest daughter was born when I was in Kansas as well. It just goes to show, if you're sitting there somewhere, wherever you are, especially if you're getting older, and you're wondering where that person is, or is there someone there for you? The answer is yes, there is, and you've probably been close to meeting them literally before. It wasn't right.
It wasn't the right time.
It wasn't the right time. I always talk about how when you fall in love with somebody, it makes you forget all the other times. Like the 10 years that I was with the Beast, right? Sometimes I get bitter when I think about all the time that was spent. And I'm not even trying to go in on her when I say that. It's just that's 10 years of my life. But when you meet somebody and you fall in love with them, like I have fallen in love with Mandy, you can easily forgive all the time that you think was wasted before, because everything that you went through was to bring you to the moment. In our case, it was, May 9th of 2019. So yeah.
Everything has to happen exactly how it's meant to happen for you to be ready for it. Because even a year before, or you too, a year before, you might not have been ready but
I mean, if you think of YouTube and all the fuckery that goes on and why there's a drama community, Mandy was watching. She was kind of, for whatever reason in her life, she turned it on and she saw this crazy bitch and then this dude that she was with, and
I was like, he seems like a fairly educated, normal guy.
Planted the seed,
because she was like, my husband was an officer. I was like, whatever, the fucking your husband wasn't. And then I saw him do his first vlog, and I was like, well, hell, he may have been an officer.
But okay, so that was 2016 or early 2000. Right. It's 3 years later. We never were inappropriate or even really ever talked. I knew that Mrs. ATX was someone in the community, and I knew that was Sam's friend. I was friends with Sam, but it wasn't until my stepson was getting ready to go to like into the Army and into basic training, and we started to just chat platonically about what combat arms was like and things like that. And then thank God that she decided, fuck it, I'm going to throw it out there one night. I'm going to go for it.
I always said, well, I guess she threw him out one too many times.
Yeah.
She never knew who was like, well, tell you what, let's give this crazy thing a try.
Right out there.
And he's like, but you're so solid. And you're like, oh, let's talk.
Let me tell you about that.
Let me break down what's really
in my head. I'm like, if I'm going to come wreck this home, it better be for the
that's
it better
I'm like,
be for the long
they
haul.
like to hang me as the home wrecker, and I'm like, well, to be fair,
yeah, I mean, you guys notice that, that narrative didn't stick. Mandy's the home wrecker. Mandy did. I was living in a car. I was living out of my Mustang at my friend's house in Asheville, North Carolina.
We were talking about yesterday, because he did literally go to his car, but it's like, man, if you could have thought enough to like be like, come on, Lily, and stick Lily in the car, and then find a place to keep her, or Bear, or both of them, because he really didn't understand that was the last time he was going to walk out of that house.
And even when I went back with the police to get stuff, I didn't grab my basketball cards, and I didn't. It's weird because I love that hobby.
Yeah.
For whatever reason, when I was back there, I didn't go for them. I could have loaded my car.
Well, you didn't know where they would go.
Well, I had the story. It's weird.
No,
because,
the dogs though. I meant.
Right. The dogs weren't never going to go with me, because I knew that for me to go wherever I was at was not going to give them a good life. For at that moment.
And the thing is people don't understand, by North Carolina law, if he'd taken one of the dogs with him, it would have been his dog.
Right.
It's like property.
Yeah,
it would not have been. He would not have had to give it back.
There's no lawsuit to make them give the dog back. There's none of that.
So that's the only thing that yesterday I was like, if you could have just been like, hey, Lily, come on, then would Lily still be alive? Who knows? Because we would have certainly paid for her to be treated. It's coming up on March the 30th.
I'm going to say this too. If I had known and I'd really thought about it, and it's kind of corny to say, but if I had said, God, I'm gonna, because whenever I would leave, I thought about Becca. I thought about my stepdaughter, and that's not part of, there's no fight there. There's no parental right there. If I was a step, there was nothing that there. So that was kind of easier to put to rest. But I didn't think about the dogs that much. And Mandy would say all the time, he said, Sean, you didn't know if you were going to go back.
Yeah.
You knew you shouldn't go back, and and every time. But that's where, if somebody's going to have and some of our haters say it, they always got back together. That's where you interfered, and that's right on. When people say that, that's the truth. It's like, no, I'm gonna flirt with them, and I'm gonna go out, or whatever it was. That's kind of true, but fuck it. That was.
And the problem was it was killing you.
Right.
And for as much as she's got to be better off without him. Like she has to be. As miserable as she says that she was, as much as she says that she hated them and they had no intimacy and then she should be spreading her wings and go, it's been 4 years. Spread your wings and fly. That's all you got to do. You know what I mean? And
she apparently outs herself all the time about that. Like she like in a roundabout way says that she says it sucks.
She said today, she goes, I want to find a man that supports, that provides for me and protects me. And she said it, and then she was like,
yeah.
And it's like, that's what you want. Yeah, that's what we all want. Unfortunately, thank God for me that you didn't understand what you had.
And then the other perfect thing for me was being in the YouTube community.
Yes.
When I left that situation, the whole community was was riding with me. Everybody was, and it's not just because I'm so special. You see it with other YouTube situations, like when Foodie Beauty breaks up with somebody. That dude Natter, he's trash. He's got a whole channel going on now. Everybody was there for that. People. I was everybody. So that was fun. Yeah. That was fun too, to travel around in my car and vlog and have 3,000 people watch it and have 150 comments and cheering me on. That was good too. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty good break. It was
Yeah.
a pretty good break.
And that was all that it took was like, we've talked about that before. Like, it's pretty, like, it kind of took him finding somebody else to really be done. Not like that he was
And-
going to spend his life with, but
Right,
something
but-
else that he could put his
And
healthy.
And somebody that was, and it doesn't have to be this way, but it's just another factor was somebody in the community. I didn't have to explain who was
No.
in the rear view.
No,
You know,
when we got served with papers, I was
yeah,
like, that
right.
figures.
Right. I didn't have to
We
explain.
knew, yeah.
Right. You guys, you know, like,
I knew.
imagine somebody that had been in my situation just trying to starts dating somebody that has no idea about the drama community and the stuff that would start coming up and popping up, because it still does. There's still shit that goes on. You guys know. Mandi knew. I didn't have to.
That was when, after we got served that thing for that bullshit, he was like, I'm so sorry. And I was like,
And now you know
I was
why
like,
I freak out every time.
Oh, Dee, thank you.
Dee.
I thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Dee.
I was like, I go, and it got served, and he was like, you know, and whatever. And he goes, and I go, I'm surprised it took this long.
Yeah, but
I
then
knew
on
she was
the
going to
other-
pull some shit.
But then on the other hand, as we were going through it, it was pretty
when I realized what it entailed.
right. When we were in court, when we flew to North Carolina, when we were sitting in court, man, and it wasn't really until the end of the day you were like, I'm sick. I'm literally sick. This is not what I do. This is not my life. I don't go to court.
I don't
have this stuff going on in my life. And I was like, yeah, it's pretty normal for me.
Yeah, it was insane. And I'm sitting there waiting for our thing, and I'm literally, it feels like there's acid shooting through my body. Like, you know, when you're that, and I thought, okay. And I knew it was going to be okay because it was bullshit. We had an attorney. I knew it was going to be settled and it was going to be okay. But I thought, isn't this crazy that I could never, I have never ever committed a crime. I've never been arrested. And I'm literally sitting here for stalking charges.
Yep.
When I live in Texas, and up until this moment, I've never even been to North Carolina.
Somebody else.
Well, we went and got your stuff, but
And somebody that didn't really know what was going on and that had happened, they'd have been like, dude, I got it. I dig you. Why have the cops coming to my house now? Go figure your shit out and then come back. You know, I didn't have to do that.
And we've said the deal breaker would have been if he'd had a child with her.
Yes, that's
I would be like, even when the kid is 18, it still comes with her.
right. They would have been incredible drama for everybody
No.
to watch. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so now Tomahawk Sean is with Mrs. ATX, but he had a kid with TT, so she's got a lot of rights to fuck with me. Because, you know, just like my kids with Jessica, there's some segues where she's got every right to contact me about certain things. Not anymore, because, you know, the kids are grown, but that would have been, Mandi's been very clear about that. That that dog wouldn't have hunted, you know.
And I would have kept the I would have been open.
I was like,
to,
you still let me come hit every once in a while. I can come smash.
I would have been open. I was completely and totally open with him, continuing some sort of communication with Becca at whatever level until she showed up in court. And when she showed up in court at her mother's bidding to testify against him, I was like, no.
Even though she quickly realized it was too late.
Too late.
We would be in Texas, and I would be communicating with Becca about how to take care of the car and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was times. She's like, I'm talking to Becca. We're talking about the car.
She had to get her tires replaced because some stupid bitch sliced him when he was in Atlanta.
Y'all remember when she cut her own tires in the car?
She didn't realize he was
out
of state.
It was like, dude, Becca was driving that car.
And you weren't even in the state.
I wasn't even in the state.
She didn't know that, but he wasn't even in the state.
I wasn't even there. And then I remember that.
It's okay.
And then it was the insurance. Talking to the insurance company was a riot, because I was switching insurance, and they were like, yeah, there was this claim. And I said, yeah, I'm not with her anymore, and blah, blah, blah. And they were very, you know, every agency I worked with after a while got it. Mm-hmm. They were like, yeah, we're going to separate you from, you know, by law, because when I was still legally married, they couldn't legally take her off the insurance, but they could separate the policies and make her pay for hers and me pay for mine. And when she cut the tires in the car, she tried to make a insurance claim on them, and I believe the insurance company said that she needed to go get a police report, and the police were like, "You really want to do this?" Because they knew, and then that was what happened with that situation.
Yeah, that's why I typed it in there. I was like, she's too stupid to realize he wasn't in the state. So as they're investigating this or doing whatever, all she succeeded in doing was screwing her daughter over
Right.
by cutting the tires, and then Becca had to replace the tires
Right.
so that she could drive it.
Right. And that was kind of my deal with Becca. It was like, look, we're, you can drive that car as long as you maintain it. We'll make sure that there's a registration for it and this and that. But then, of course, and I think that the Beast knew that, and that's another reason why she sabotaged the car.
She admitted today, you guys, that the Escape, she did let it get repossessed. So all of you stupid morons who believe everything that she says,
None of you, not you.
No, you, but y'all probably gave her money for it too that never went there. It's gone. She said that she decided for the price that she's paying for a car payment, she can fix this truck. And she said, well, and my ex-husband, it obviously didn't affect his credit. I'm like, why is it always tied back into Sean?
I know.
Sean never saw that car. Never paid for it. Never.
I would not know. It was a what? An Escape?
Yeah, I think she.
So I would have to pull up a picture to see what an Escape was.
My guess would be because of just the dynamics of it. The battery had a kill switch put in by the buy here, pay here or whatever.
That's what they do.
Yeah, and they hit the kill switch when she was behind, so it was sitting there. Didn't have it had a dead battery in the sense that the kill switch had been thrown. So when she's like, "Oh, look at this! I'm sitting in my repossessed car," and it's like, okay. And then I was like, "Well, start it up if it's got it." And then today she admitted it was. And that she didn't go to Nebraska. She went to South Dakota, which means I guess she didn't make mad, passionate love in a Nebraska hayfield if she wasn't even in
a hayfield.
Nebraska. She said they just rolled around and made passionate love, her and Clint, on a haystack in Nebraska. But she was in... So who knows if that was true. Yeah, they'll throw the kill switch. When I was a care manager, we had caregivers who would go into like Walmart with their client because you can get reimbursed mileage and things like that. And the kill switch would get thrown on that car, and they'd be calling it. It'd be like 90 degrees outside.
And they'd have a client, right?
Yeah, and I would be like, okay. So when they'd be like, it won't start. And there was only a couple people that I knew it happened with. And I was like, so it won't start. And they're like, no. I was like, do you know why it won't start? Yeah. And I was like, so I would take the company car and go pick them up and do whatever. But I was like, you got to get it working.
And these are like $75 a week or something. A lot of them are weekly.
How do you let it get that?
And because being with her, I kind of would go to these buy here, pay here's. And you guys know the story. I had a car picked out for her. She didn't want it, wasn't good enough. She had to have control over what car she had. But how they get people is they'll put like a price in the window like per week. Or maybe they don't do that anymore, but it'd be like $65. It's like, and everybody's like, I can afford $65, but it's $65 a week. Yeah. So, you add that up, that's $260 a month.
And it's
whatever.
A car that's not.
But they're hammering. Yeah, these are cars with 200,000 miles on them. That probably, if you bought it outright, it might be a $4,000 car, but you financed it, so you're paying about $9,000 or $10,000 for that car over the course of 18 months or 2 years. It's kind of like.
But then they'll just come pick it back up.
Yeah, it's just kind of like a rent-to-own errands.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, but a car is different. I mean, you've really, really got to have some pretty bad credit to not just get something.
Well, she always talks about the things that you didn't do, that you didn't know how to fix everything in the house, that you didn't know how to fix engines. He knew how to pay the rent and make the car payment.
That is the classic statement. He didn't know how to fix a car. He didn't know he knew how to make a car payment.
He knew how to make the payment.
He knew how to pay insurance. He knew how to take it to a mechanic when it got broke.
He knew how to give the money for rent, so they're not chasing you down. He knew how to do that.
Because we know one thing, we don't own this place, So I might not know how to fix the air conditioning. I might not know how to, get the septic tank. But guess what? I pay my landlord. That motherfucker comes and does it. That's what my landlord does. He comes right on over. He's like, oh my God, this guy pays on the 31st or the 1st of every month like religion. He'll come bring his ass out
Well,
here with one of his sons,
and it's like
fix
living.
it.
Is that what's called living hand to mouth? When you just make
Right.
it day to day to
Right.
day to day, and you're juggling, trying not to get the land, like, and then you're like, okay, I can move here. If I don't pay this, I'll move here. That whatever it's like always like robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Kind of.
So-
and the cycle is that you also accept jobs. And I'm not. There's nothing wrong. I worked convenience stores. I worked retail stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. But there's sometimes people settle for those jobs, because they're the easiest thing to do in the moment.
Right.
Instead of going out and getting a security clearance and getting hired by the post office, some contracting job. You live hand to mouth. You're like, well, let me run down the street and start working here.
That's
And,
awesome, Mama Ricky.
That's what a lot of people do, and they're jobs like that are fine. Most of the people that I worked with, that's what they did to make ends meet. That's what they did. They worked there. For me, it was a little bit different. I was standing by, kind of living a certain way. Hand to mouth is a perfect thing. It's such a blessing not to have to do that.
Yeah. It's a whole different world. I mean, I guess I just don't, my thing, and I guess that it's beneficial and a savor that I've got someone who's responsible. And I had someone responsible before who's good with doing whatever and being like, getting that paid and working together on a budget, but that part gets done. But I also can't imagine having a car payment due. You're on your own, you're single, and you're getting your hair and fillers
That's
and
the
nails.
most frustrating thing.
Like, that shows a huge lack of respect for your partner if you're with somebody. But if you're single, it's very destructive.
And see, and that's when you decide that's your for better or for worse, you can micromanage it. I did. You guys have heard me tell the story. The first of the month would come, I'd get my money on the first, like I get every month from the Army, and I'd pay every bill. And I'd hand her like an allowance. And then I didn't fucking give her nothing else for the rest of the month. That's true.
Wow.
Because it's like, here you go. This is it.
Yeah.
And then I would go to work, and I was making about $400 a week or $350 a week at a convenience store. I would live off that. That's what I would live off of.
It's insane. D says, I use a milliner in Austin, Texas to make hats for me. I'm from Austin.
Mm-hmm.
I was born and raised in Austin. She probably already knows that. Oh, because I'm ATA.
You're ATX.
Did we ever? I think I've told it several
I didn't
times.
know what ATX meant, though.
No.
Until
no.
I landed in the airport. First time I got, I was flying out to see Mandi, and I'm looking at all the signs that say ATX, whatever, ATX Power Company, ATX, and I was like, you know what? I have a feeling that's why she's named this. I had no
it's
idea.
hilarious because and I might have told this before. I used to be Mandi Troop because when the OGs started coming together, hey, here for the mess.
Hey.
Got together. A lot of us Randy had her first and last name because that was our email. Then you get active on YouTube, and that's just, you haven't changed it yet.
You're
or
sort of doxing yourself.
Right. So anyway, that's, everyone knew me as that. Well, I was in the chat one time and I was like, I want to change. I was trolling a few people, but this day it was Trisha. And so I went in as Mrs. ATX, and somehow Becca MS Fighter, who you'll see every once in a while, she's still around. She goes, that's Mandi Troop. And she goes, and
but how did she know?
She traced down the wallpaper or something, and I was like, well, shit. And I was too lazy to go, like, that was my like troll account, and I didn't want to, so it stuck, and then I got more involved, and it stuck, and people were like, whatever. So that's how the whole name came to be. It was a troll name.
Tomahawk Sean.
And now she talks. She if she's still around, she's hot and cold with me, but sometimes she likes me. Becca MS Fighter. The Beast doesn't like me.
Beast doesn't.
I don't think she's.
Tomahawk
Did she send me a birthday card?
Did she?
Did she not send me one? Did you look?
Who Beast?
Yeah.
I'll go look. Well, I'm working tomorrow, babe, so I'll be able to see.
Maybe she forgot.
God damn it.
I'm watching what y'all are saying.
Tomahawk Sean, that name came from
Sarah.
The fact that I decided that I was going to do a YouTube channel
Steve.
that was going to be about sports. And I was going to talk about the Braves. And the very first vlog that I have, if you guys go to Tomahawk Sean and go to the very first vlog I ever did, I know it's 6 years ago, it would be. It was about the Falcons and the Patriots Super Bowl. And it got 5,000 views.
Did
I mean,
it?
it got a lot of views. So
You
I was
broke
like,
down how it happened, right?
yeah. Well, I was saying, don't. You just have to watch. I don't even remember. It was. And if you ever go back, any of you guys that make content, you go back and look at your very
Scout.
first vlogs that you ever did. They're so cringe. You know, when you first look
Yeah,
at the
when you
very
go back
first
and
ones you
look.
did. But then I did one on that channel that was like, you know, husband breaks his silence, and that was one that I did, and that one's like 12,000 views.
It was, yeah, that was the first time
and I used the same name because it was the same channel. I didn't really know how to make, so that's how Tomahawk Sean. It was supposed to be like Tomahawk Talk or Tomahawk whatever. It was supposed to be about baseball and sports. That's how Tomahawk Sean came up, and then that's
how he got introduced into our little niche of YouTube.
Yep.
When people ask how we met, and I say YouTube, people are always like, "How do you meet through YouTube?" Mm-hmm. And they'll go, then they hear the full story, like he was on Dr. Phil. I was like, but that's not how I knew him.
Yeah.
I already knew, like, I was watching from before that. But yes, he was on Dr. Phil.
Mm-hmm. But your work doesn't know much more than that. Because y'all watched Dr. Phil at your work,
did.
right? And then
when we would be working in medical records, we would have the phone set up and we'd be laughing our ass off at whatever dumb shit she was doing that day. Then she went to Dr. Phil, and I was like, y'all, she's on Dr. Phil. And then we watched Dr. Phil. And then it was like, lo and behold, in 2019.
Yeah. That's
like,
about 2 years later, because that was 17, 18.
I was like, well, I'm getting divorced, and I'm seeing somebody who. And I was like, if I told you, you would shit your pants right now.
And they were like,
right where you stood.
and a lot of them did, didn't they? Yeah.
They didn't believe me at first. Yeah. And I was like, it's a long story.
It's an interesting story. That story is interesting for somebody that doesn't have any idea about the drama community or anything like that.
Yeah.
How the heck do you see somebody on TV, on a show like Dr. Phil or Springer, get in touch with somebody like that and develop a relationship?
Yeah.
But it's more to it than that.
Yeah, this specifically, there was more to it.
Yeah.
One of the when she's trying to pitch her stupid shit, she says the reason Dr. Phil is reaching out to them because they're going to do an angle where now you're addicted to the internet.
That's what she was saying.
Yeah, and that's the story, is that now the ex is addicted to the internet, and while she's moved on and gotten strong, you have the internet addiction.
Oh.
We're gonna have to spend a whole lot more time than an hour at night if we're gonna do it full-fledged. I was looking at y'all's conversation about vintage stuff, vintage perfume bottles and stuff. I love that. That's really pretty. The lady that I used to work with, she had that in her bathroom or whatever. It was very, very pretty. Yeah, we're not going back to Dr. Phil. Okay. My family would. There's so many reasons why not. But it was funny when they were reaching out.
Yeah.
I
remember a couple of the people that I met when I went to your work, they were kind of like,
I'd be like,
that's him. And I'm like, how you doing?
I didn't know how tall you were.
You don't remember? You didn't?
I mean, once we started talking, I did, but I didn't know how tall you were. Like,
a lot of people didn't know how tall I was until the night at Neg's house when we were all there, and me and Negs and Angry Veteran and Skeeter, and I was standing up walking around. The camera was like back in the corner, and everyone was like, "That dude is fucking tall."
Yeah.
And so I don't think people really did know until then. And then it was like, that dude's tall. Dude's pretty tall.
And on that note, you have to get up at 4:00 in the morning.
See, it took us about 40 minutes to get going.
And you know, I am like, genuinely, it is so cool to me that at least
right. I was just thinking that what you're about to say.
No matter what boring ass shit, I consider 30 people just listening to us talk about bullshit.
Yeah.
That's not bad. And
that.
I'm not about like, I'm not the numbers person. Like when I finally go, oh, our channel did grow fast in numbers. You're like, I told you.
Yeah.
That was way in the beginning.
In the beginning. I mean, if you would think that right now, if we had started from scratch, when we started talking about chickens, there was no way that we'd have 3,000 subs.
No.
But I think I know that I am anyway. I'm kind of like been there, kind of done that with the drama stuff. It's cool if we get into drama.
Yeah.
Night, Joss. It's cool to do the drama. It's cool to have 300 people in your chat and do it. But it's not the same thrill for me that it used to be. It's not the same like. There are some people that would sit there. I've heard people like Wendy say, "I wouldn't vlog if there was only." I mean, I wouldn't. I would be. I wouldn't like it if there was only 30 or 40 people in the chat. But those are the real ones. Those are the ones that are here for us.
Yeah, I wouldn't care if there was
And
only 8 people.
I wouldn't trade that. I wouldn't trade the 40 people or the 35 people that are here every night. You know, whether we have 70 in the chat or whether we have somebody on like DC and have 400 in the chat, we do understand that it's those 35 of y'all that are here tonight that are there all the time.
Yep,
That's
that's absolutely
right.
the case.
And we know who they are.
Yeah, we
know
do.
that.
We know, like, it feels good that people care. They were talking about our 24-hour chicken cam. I'm working on it.
Yeah.
Probably when we get back from Colorado is when I'll really start, because you can get a starter kit. Anyway, it's a whole thing. It's even like how to start your social media, whatever. So there'll be a cam that you can literally look at. And then if our chicken's, like if Tiny's beating somebody up, don't worry if he's banging all the hens. That's what he does.
What he does.
But if he's beating up Motley, then we need to know. Motley, the little salt and pepper colored silky today, chased a crow off.
Yeah.
And
Got to start somewhere.
yeah, and I
gotta
think
start
the crow
somewhere.
ran because he didn't know what the hell he was, because they've got all this whatever, and so he comes out and the crow's
And
like
he legitimately runs. The other one's kind of, he starts to trot.
he
you
took
know?
the crow was like.
But you notice when he runs,
Yeah.
like the other Silky's got, he basically he gets running. He's
Yeah.
just turning his legs.
He's super cool. He's very laid back. If Tiny's in a mood, he'll go under the shed until Tiny's not in a mood. And
When I was locking him up tonight, he was in front of the 2 boxes.
of the silkies.
There's 2 Silkies. So the Silkies are now, they're laying on 7 eggs.
Yeah, and they're not even theirs.
That's not even theirs. And so I've had to mark those eggs that way because it's somehow, we don't see it, they have more eggs under them. And we haven't seen them move much. But somehow the other chickens go into the nesting box and lay more eggs. And the Silky is trying to lay on all of them. But I take the ones out that are new. But anyway, he was in front of both of them, kind of just sitting there.
Yeah, and the thing is like if we didn't take them out and 12 things hatch at different times, like how do they take care of all those? The other hens would help?
I guess.
I
guess.
It's interesting.
You're right, because like if the incubator comes back when it comes back, and we take them right away and put them in there, you're right. They're like a couple days. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how that.
I mean, you would have to just fill it up and then just watch for it.
And then every couple days, a couple more may hatch or whatever.
That's a big step. But
But
anyway, now you know the plan. I'm taking the stuff to that classroom that I was talking about. They're so excited for them to hatch. It's like their little spring thing. And I've got everything ready to take it up there and explain what they eat and that they need to be, everything. And it's kind of exciting. They were so excited when we took the incubator.
They all want to take one of the chicks
Yeah.
home. And, I mean, there's not enough chicks anyway, and you got to keep the babies together for the first couple weeks because they need the heat.
Yeah, no Boone's
other.
Farm. Who said Boone's? That makes me throw open my mouth a little bit. Boone's Farm. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with us.
We appreciate y'all. Hopefully, with any luck, in no later than an hour, I'll be sleeping.
Yes. I think you will
3
be.
o'clock comes early.
Bye,
It'll actually
Jocelyn. Be
about-
good tonight. She said bye, parents. I love Jocelyn. I love all you guys. Have a good night. And thank you for the super chat and the support.
And we've shown our togetherness. Now you can run over and watch the meltdown.
Is
Those
it
that are left.
is it in the full site? We'll be asleep. But
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll catch you on the Twitter.
I know.
Have a good night.